Hello and welcome to today's video. This is the 5th video in a 6-part series where I explore common pain points that I encounter with my clients. If you're new to this channel and wondering what this is all about, my name's Anand and I'm an emotional wellness coach, and I support those who are weighed down with inner struggles, and I help them uncover their inner richness. And so this 6-part series is actually exploring the different common pain points I come across, and there are many types, but these are the ones that I see again and again, and I explore what they are, how they might impact you, and what can you do about it. So the 5th common pain point I come around is to do with money mindset and abundance. And you're thinking, well, how does emotional wellness correlate with money? So there are very close links with emotional wellness and what I call financial wellness. Actually, that's a very common term out in the wellness world. And financial wellness is an approach to money that would be healthy and in balance. So what do I mean by healthy and in balance? So if we look at the extremes of money, we can either see there's hoarding or overspending. And the hoarding or miserliness, or that person who collects all of their money and dies, and you learn that they have millions of dollars, euros, pounds in the bank, and you're like, what? They look like they never had any money. So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end is the person who would appear to look very rich or appears to have a great lifestyle, but it's fueled by massive debt. And that can be a greater or lesser degree. And then if we look at our financial decisions, whether we look at the financial decisions, whether we look at how we spend our money, and how we look at our emotions around money, the two are so closely connected. If we think that we're low value, we attract low value work or low value financial situations. And I'm going to tease this out a little bit more as we go into this video. Or if we don't allow ourselves to enjoy or to feel abundance in life, we adopt what I call a poverty consciousness, where we think in terms of being poor, regardless of the material wealth that we have. We feel poor. No amount of money can fill that gap. And yet somebody who has an abundance consciousness may not have a lot of material wealth, but they feel rich. And there's a sort of richness to their life. There's a certain beauty of flow. And again, we'll tease that out. So what does this mindset around money look like in practice? So I'm going to explore a few things. So let's look at debt. So you kind of might say, I'm always in debt, or I have a lot of debt. There's nothing I can do. I'm stuck in debt. And debt might be just, I lost my job. I got into debt. I can't keep up with the rate of inflation. So I have to use my credit cards. The cost of living crisis, I can't survive. You're in survival mode and you're constantly in debt. And I know this because I speak from experience. I have lived with a lot of debt, and a book that really transformed me, it changed my whole look on money, is called Tapping for Wealth. The author is Margaret Lynch, and she uses tapping around the various points on different money mindsets. And each of her chapters goes through a different money pain point. And the one on debt blew me away, because from there I realised that I was attracting debt more and more and more, because I was carrying around an old belief that I owe. That was my belief. I owe X. I owe Y. I owe. And it came from a childhood wound. And that fed its way into my money. So yes, the external circumstances were I was in debt, but I was attracting it. And when I got that, the debt started to go down significantly. Now I have a lot of debt. And so I had a lot of debt, I should say. I don't anymore. I have some debt that's going down. It just takes time. But the beautiful thing is that I realised, okay, this old wound that I was carrying around, I owe, was creating the debt. And that's the link between the emotional wellness and financial wellness. Another one is look at how you spend your money. Is it a well thought out purchase? Do you think, yes, I need this item, it will serve me for this, therefore I would like to buy it? Or are your spending choices one based on, I've had a bad day, I'm suffering, I'm going to go and buy myself some new clothes, or I'm going to buy a new watch, or I'm going to get a new car, I want to show off to my neighbours and show them and do the FU, look at me with my car, my designer goods. You know, it doesn't matter if I get into debt. It doesn't matter if I spend all my money on looking a certain way to show off to others. You know, there's nothing wrong with wearing designer goods. There's nothing wrong with looking, wearing lovely clothes that are expensive and are beautiful or are valuable, if you're only buying it for that reason. If you're doing it to show off or as a status symbol, to fill an emotional need, then that financial wellness is out of balance. And if that compulsive spending is something that you have to hide, and there are many people who will buy all these items that they can't afford, or that they only spend their money on that and can't spend it on other things. For example, maybe buying a home, getting things they need, taking care of themselves, things like that. If they're having to hide their purchases, then that's almost like there's guilt and shame associated there. Or perhaps you spend a huge amount of money on different types of cosmetic treatments. Again, if it's for yourself, coming from a space of owning it, awareness and responsibility, fair enough. But if you're doing it to fill a void, to fill a need, to fill a gap, then it's not serving you. Then you have this money pain point. You don't see yourself as valuable, therefore you either buy goods to show your value, or you spend huge amounts of money on procedures, treatments, things that you can't afford, that maybe give you a quick hit but doesn't actually fill the void inside. So that's the whole array of how, when you're out of balance financially, how it can impact you emotionally. And actually there's a huge amount of data out there that shows that financial worries are one of the biggest emotional stresses on people. So if you're really worried about money, then coaching with me can really help you. Because what we do is we start to dig into the emotional story behind your money mindset. Whether you have a poverty consciousness, whether you're spending to fill a void, whether you're making panicked decisions in buying something that ends up costing you an awful lot of money. Another book that I'm actually working through at the moment is called The Energy of Money. And again, that looks at the energy behind money. And again, when you make bad decisions behind purchases that are based on emotions, like the author shares that she invested in something, it was $30,000. And she admits that she did it out of a space of greed. She wanted more. And sadly, she got ripped off. But that powerful lesson of being ripped off meant that she created this program, this book, and she's not only helped herself, but she's helped loads of other people. So this is about dropping the shame around your spending habits and just looking at the truth of the matter. You know, what is your emotional attitude to money? Are you hoarding it where you're afraid to spend it and you live in poverty, even though you've probably a huge amount of money in the bank account? So you never allow yourself to go on holidays. You never allow yourself to buy nice things. You know, you don't enjoy them. You don't spend on you. You hide it away, hoard it away out of a place of fear. And then the sad thing is you die in poverty and somebody else gets your money and blows it all. That's the reality. I've heard of countless stories of that happening. Or are you the other extreme? You're compulsively spending, hiding your purchases, trying to prove something to others that really don't matter, feeling a void, feeling continuously empty. This is where I can work with you. It's exploring the emotional story behind your money, working out a money plan. And a lot of people don't even like talking about money, and they feel a lot of shame around talking about it. They don't even look at it. I know I've had that too. A deep resistance to looking at it. I had one client who they spent a huge amount on buying a particular item. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to reveal who they are. But they would buy a small takeaway item, let's call it that, every day. 2 or 3 or 4 of these takeaway items. And on average, it worked out 20 to 30 euros a day on this item. And over 5 days, that was between 100 to 150 euros a week. Just on a takeaway item. 150 euros a week. Which is 600 euros a month, or between 6 and 700 a month. 6 to 700 euros a month. About 7 to 8,000 a year on a takeaway item that they bought daily. A few times a day. Just think, when you think, oh, I can't afford these things, I can't do this, what we can do together is to really look at where all the money goes, and do you need that purchase, and where would you like to redistribute that money. That's where I can support you. And this is also something you can do yourself. There are a number of brilliant YouTubers, podcasters that talk about financial, they give you financial skills, financial literacy, because that's actually another fascinating thing. Financial literacy skills are very low. People are afraid to even go there. They think, oh no, money, don't want to look at it. So I'm going to close with one final thought for you to consider. What does abundance mean for you? Does it mean material wealth? Does it mean inner wealth? What does it mean for you? Having plentiful. For me, abundance, I look at nature, and there is not one single aspect of nature that withholds or has poverty around it. It has and produces beautiful flowers abundance of bees and insects and butterflies and bushes and grasses, and we're all the time trying to cut it back and tame it. It's so abundant. And when I look at that and I think of how can I translate that inside of myself, it means flow. It means moving with things, allowing things to happen, to trust, and to feel an inner richness which starts to translate itself in an outer richness that's set around your definition of richness, or what you're able to receive. So for me, abundance is about a flowing, about giving and receiving. But not from a space of guilt, not from a space of I must do, or I should do, or I have to. It's just I want to give for the sheer joy of giving. Doesn't matter. Don't thank me, nothing. Just sheer giving. And also sheer receiving. Yeah, I want to receive this. Thank you. Receiving. Beautiful. That to me is abundance. That to me is living richly. And there's no void. There's no guilt. There's no shame. There's just this flow. So I invite you to reflect on this. And if you really want to get behind the story behind your money worries or your money struggles, do get in touch with me. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.